Welcome everyone to Alcoholically Correct. I'm JB. I'm joined today and always by
Zach, here to tell you what you're wrong about today.
As always. How you doing, Zach? How's the week been?
It's been good. It's tough getting back into that working life. I mean, after being unemployed for so long, you're just like, oh, this is my life now. I'm used to this. And
you're like, yeah, responsibilities. Yeah.
What are responsibilities? Why do I have them?
This is nuts.
Can we go back to the part where I didn't have a job? I mean, not really, because I need money, but that's not
bills
the point.
And all. But right, exactly. No, yeah. Well, you know what? If our viewers out there want to make sure that they're liking and subscribing whatever it is they're listening or watching this on, then that'd be a great way for us to not really have to work. Because I mean, we put in enough work into this podcast that I'd say it's embarrassing considering we're just doing it for the fun of it. But
we have 3 listeners right now. Literally 3 listeners. We can count it.
So you mean if I said I'd like to thank each and every listener personally, I could actually do that pretty easily. I could knock that out in 10 minutes or so. Awesome.
10 minutes to talk about 3 people?
Well, okay. Anyways, you got me.
So what are you drinking? Drinking?
I appreciate you asking. I actually went with something different. Year before I was born, 1985, but It is an IPA, the Voodoo Ranger. It's a mango beer. So as we've talked in the past, I do like my, smoother, lighter type beers. I thought being a mango infused beer that it would hopefully hit that same, that type of beer. So yeah, we're going to find out. So, YouTube audience, watch my face closely, because if I hate the beer, you'll definitely be able to tell. I get what we call beer face.
It's very, very obvious when he hates something.
I'm going to get more and more experimental with my beers too. So I won't only go with the ones that sound light and fluffy. So some weeks I will straight up hate my beer, and the whole time I'll just be frowning while I'm talking like, no, it's not that bad at all. Anyways, but
how about you? I got a story about that. Yeah. I'm actually starting with ZFG. Zero given. It's by local Tampa brewing company called Hidden Springs Ale.
Okay.
Works.
I have not heard of that brewer.
It's pretty good.
Nice. Also, it looks like my color of beer, like a lighter brown.
Yeah, it's a 0 IBU pale ale, so it's basically got IBUs. You don't like IBUs. The higher IBUs, the worse it is for you. Those are the bitter bits.
Yeah.
The international bitter units.
Right. Yep. I don't like bitterness in my beer or in my life.
You're friends with me. I don't understand.
I like to expose myself. It's like trying, bad beers. It's like, I just have to make sure I still don't like this. So.
Oh, okay. Good.
So I don't like you enough that I decided we should host a podcast together weekly. It totally made sense to me. Anyways.
Good.
So did you, anything special you're shooting over there? I'm going with the JB Fire again. It's gone. It's going down.
Yeah, I decided to go ahead and make mistakes. Me and tequila have a love-hate relationship. I love to hate it, and it just hates me. So I went with tequila, because what could possibly go wrong?
No, yeah. Well, as long as your clothes don't fall off, we'll be okay. That's all I ask. Oh, no!
We have a
way
video
too
now.
Early. That's what I'm saying. Let's keep those on. We can't do those naked shows like we did when we were trying to do this just as a podcast. That doesn't work anymore.
No, okay, yeah.
Boxer only episodes is going to be weird on YouTube. Anyways, did you want to take topic number 1 this week?
Sure, I'll definitely go ahead and take topic number 1, and I'll get us started. Let's go ahead and take a shot, and then we'll get right on in.
How's the plan? Salute.
Yeah. No, actually, hold on.
Bad choice.
I really do hate tequila. I like it in drinks. Like, I love a margarita.
Yeah.
I like shooting good tequila.
I was going to say,
taking a shot.
Aren't you like 6 for 6 or whatever episode we're on now as far as tequila every episode? Isn't that what you've been?
No,
vodka. You're right. I'm sorry.
I completely mixed it. I decided, I was like, oh, I've got a bunch of extra tequila.
Is it cold or did you drink it warm?
It's cold.
Okay.
It's just Jose Cuervo Especial Silver. So
it doesn't sound very especial. Yeah.
No.
That's okay. Hopefully the beer's good enough and you're washing it down.
Exactly. So actually, I wanted to talk about cans. That's my first one. So you were talking about the coin shortage before?
Yes. Yeah.
Now this is the can shortage.
Are they related in any way?
No,
okay,
not at all.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah,
I did not know. So there's a can shortage. Is this in America or worldwide?
I'd assume worldwide. I don't imagine why not. But yeah, so basically what's currently happening is we're into an issue where, like, when I went to go pick up my beer today at ABC Liquor, people might have noticed shelves are emptier when it comes to beers and when it comes to, seltzer water. Like, the cans just aren't there. Like, bubbly water is harder to come by, and all those ones are harder to come by. And it's because there's no cans. So, yeah.
Yeah. What's causing it?
Why? There's a lot of different reasons that are causing it. But so to start with, even before the pandemic, we were having an increasing demand in cans. So only 50% of all beers were sold in 2010. Like, those were sold in cans. Now, 60% of beers are sold. All the beers are sold in cans. It's a 20% increase in production of cans.
Wow.
So it's
why? Yeah.
Well, it's because people have gotten more into local craft beers. And craft beers, it's easier for them to do it in cans.
Sure, cheaper too, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so it's just easier for them, so they distribute it in cans. So we've had an increase in cans. Also, a huge part of that is freaking White Claw. Think about that. The hard seltzer people, they never come in cans.
Sure.
And all of those, everyone's like, oh, it's hard seltzer. This is my jam.
Yeah.
It is the new, what was Bud Light's, like, margarita?
Oh, gosh. Bud Light Lime?
Not the Bud Light Lime. But it's
okay. Well, they do have the margarita ones, too. Yeah, they did the strawberry and all that. Yeah. All those are nasty. No offense, Budweiser.
Those were like what you had before we now went to the hard seltzers. Yeah. They're the new hard. They're the hard seltzers are the new margarita, Bud margaritas or whatever.
I mean, not some of those are okay at least. Like, I've drinking a few. Drinking? Is that even a word?
Nope.
All right, we're at that point of the show already. But yeah, I've drank a few that were decent. I'm not a big seltzer water drinker in general.
So the only ones that I actually really like are the Corona hard seltzers. And I'm not even joking. Like, those ones are actually not overly sweet. They're actually pretty good.
Fair enough.
Because they just taste like bubbly water. And I don't mind some bubbly waters.
Yeah.
Rather than this overly sweet thing trying to hide the alcohol flavor or whatever. No.
Yeah.
It's all pretty good. But yeah, so we have a shortage of cans. So cans are really hard to come by.
Right.
And actually, all of my beer that I bought today came in cans. So I'm sorry for contributing to
You're helping mine too. Yes. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, but so, yeah, no. And then so what also aggravated is now that the pandemic occurred is beer is no longer being shipped in kegs. Where are you going to drink a keg of beer? So all these companies are now having to shift their production from kegs to cans, further causing more of a problem.
Wow, sure, yeah. So it's so we're using more than ever, and we're not producing anymore, I'm assuming.
Right, correct. So
are we having trouble coming? Like, are we short on the materials to some degree, or I mean, it's metal, I know.
As far as I can tell, we've got enough aluminum.
So we just need to up production.
Right. So actually, the two major U.S. suppliers of aluminum cans, one's in Colorado called the Ball Corporation, and the other one's called the Crown Holdings Corporation.
Okay.
No idea why I felt that was necessary to know, but I learned that.
But now we know it.
Correct. Yeah. So actually, they're both working to create new plants. So Ball's plants are going to be coming in mid. Yeah, I like just that. That's a fun one. Ball's two plants. So 2 ball plants are going to be.
I mean, that's the correct number. If you had one more, that'd be too many, and if you had one fewer, that would be probably a tragic story you'd have to tell.
Exactly. But yeah, so they're opening in mid 2021, and then hopefully they're going to get another one up in this year, or like another one up this year. So crazy that they've got this much problem. Yeah, and I guess it didn't probably help is they're a production line in a factory, so they were probably closed down for part of the year for just COVID in general.
Yeah. That does connect to the coin shortage thing where we realized like government buildings have been shut down. Everyone who processes these coins are shut down. It's the same thing. Everyone that develops and all that, they had to take those little breaks from production for a while. So yeah, that is weird. So, I do wonder, actually, I know you didn't look into it. on the international front. So for our audience, something to maybe Google at home, not that we're giving you homework, but because I know when I went to go buy liquor, I don't know, whenever I bought the JB Fire I've been sipping on the last couple weeks, it was the guy had told me that certain things, including Patron, they were not able to get right now because of the whatever it is, like I can't think of the word, but not the travel bans, but like, you know how we as Americans can't go to most places in the world. I guess it is a travel ban, just in reverse. We're not banning anything, but because of that, things aren't traveling across the states.
Oh yeah, no, there's been a massive reduction,
and I bet you. I bet you a lot of aluminum comes from around the world, probably to some degree, because everything just seems to kind of change hands all over. So. Crazy.
Oh yeah, more than likely. But yeah, so I don't know if that's causing anything, because I think that they have the materials because they're opening new plants. They just didn't have the demand before. Now they do.
But I guess that's what I'm saying is, do you think some of the plants are maybe international? There might be plants international that also send some of the aluminum. So a percentage of our aluminum gets developed here, percentage gets, brought in on trade.
So yeah, the actual aluminum itself is mostly going to be shipped in, more than likely, probably from China and recycling over there.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Possibly that's not right now, which could be part of the shortage. Yeah, so maybe it is a state's problem. But anyways, no, that's interesting. Like I say, I did not know that we had a can shortage to go along with our coin shortage.
Yeah, no. I like this quote from a brewer. It was from St. Louis, Four Hands Brewing. It was the operations manager there. He goes, they were told him that he can't do cans until 2021. Whoa. And his thing is, and that's not like January, That's I don't know when in 2021 kind of situation.
That's like, just them saying the rest of this year you're done. Like
yeah, that was his quote, and I thought that was interesting. I'm like, well, that's a problem. Like he can't brew beer now.
Yeah. So funny you say that. I don't know if you're ready to move on to our next topic. I mean, I didn't have a lot more input on the aluminum. I didn't know if there was more to share on what was going on there now. Because actually, not really. So I wanted to talk about things being banned, things being shut down. I wanted to kind of talk about the idea of prohibition. Definitely historical. We always like to go historical context. I was looking up kind of the history of prohibition and all that. But I really was more interested. Obviously, that's as we are recording a show that says that is not an issue today, prohibition on alcohol. However, there are prohibitions, of course, still in place on many, many other substances, especially in this country.
Actually, so I just finished my beer and I'm moving on to my next one.
Okay.
This one's actually from Sweetwater Brewing Company. I think that's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
It's called the 420 strain.
That is the perfect segue, Zach. That is exactly what I'm getting at there. Not just marijuana specifically, of course, but the idea of prohibition on things. I always do that. I jump the gun in giving the topic, although I realized after doing that last week that most people watching or listening probably glanced at our notes where we lay out everything that each topic's going to be anyway, so they knew it was coming.
Yeah, we haven't done the shot yet. You ruined this.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no.
You ruin us.
I did,
man.
I kill our... Hit my mic too. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Salute.
Cheers.
Okay, so I wanted to talk prohibition. I did want to talk mostly kind of your feelings on drug legalization. Obviously, we have certain states, lots of states at this point, that have started to legalize marijuana. There's talks now of the benefits that they're finding in like psychedelic drugs. Yeah, for mental issues and all this stuff. How much do you know on prohibition as far as both the alcohol and the drug prohibition, like how that came to be, when that came to be? Do you know a lot?
Like, not too much. I know we got the flappers, flapper area.
Sure.
Basically, we had prohibition because there was a bunch of people that thought like alcohol was bad, and they pushed the legislation through. And
do you know how that started, though?
I'm going to assume it was some reverend somewhere, but I'm probably wrong.
Not exactly. Well, so it was something that you said in the first topic that really kind of made me want to jump into starting our next big topic here. Was it actually started because of the war effort for World War I. 1917, Woodrow Wilson banned the production of alcohol. So like we're saying, you can't make cans, you can't make alcohol. not because of, there was a huge push from religious people at the time and different stuff to try and ban alcohol. They were trying to say it was ruining lives and all the stuff, right? But it was the war effort because they needed to save the grain. So
this is the beer law of 1516.
Okay, well,
remember,
go for it.
The beer law of 1516 from the German beer law, the German purity beer law. It's because they needed to save the wheat for bread.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot that part of it. Yeah. That was why they first did it. Yes. Well, so that's the thing, though. So Germany used that as an opportunity to purify their beer, but they were still making their beer. America used it as a great opportunity to, purify our country and our people by banning alcohol completely, because after 1917, when he had put the temporary ban on production of alcohol, it allowed essentially them to, by 1919, actually start to work on it. And it was the 18th Amendment that was added, I believe it was in 1920. Yep, 1920, that actually prohibited alcohol. And what's really crazy is at that time, if you want to talk about drug prohibition, the only prohibition on drugs was the 1914 Harrison Narcotic Act, which made it criminal not to have medical opioids or marijuana. So you could have both at that point. You look at a lot of states medically legalizing.
No, stop. So it made it illegal to not have opioids?
No. It made it legal to have them as long as you had a medical reason. It was illegal. It was illegal as of 1914. That's when that happened. So it did happen before the liquor prohibition, but you could still have it if you had a medical purpose. At the time when they first prohibited alcohol, that wasn't true. That changed over time. They started writing, kind of crazy like doctor, reasons and all for liquor. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's crazy. And that's the thing. Like, I'm sure we could do. Oh, go ahead.
Just to go back. When was Coca-Cola no longer Coca-Cola?
So I will say, I don't know the exact year, but I do have some information as far as, basically, it was the 1930s that they put on the full ban on narcotics and on marijuana. I don't remember. I don't have the exact year for that. I wish I did.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
No, it's okay. Well, no, and it's okay. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. It's part of that. That's what I wanted to talk about. So, even once it was medical only, you could still walk into your grocery store, your pharmacy. In fact, before that, you could order it in the early 1900s. You could order cocaine and opioids through catalogs. They had regular shopping catalogs also had a section for buying cocaine and opioids.
I was born in the wrong year. No, not really, because I know if I tried that, I'd be done.
Bad things would happen. Sure, yeah, no, I get that.
Well, great things would happen for a long time. I'd be very productive.
Well, maybe not a long time. It'd be, right? It would feel like a long time in a short amount of time, and then you would crash. Anyways, no, but that's kind of the crazy part, is when you look at the history of where it was. And here's the other big thing, because I had always heard that the main push for marijuana specifically, because that's the one that I feel like in America, the majority of people at this point feel it should be legalized to some degree. Actually, the overwhelming majority feel that at least medical purposes should be. But even recreational, the majority, I think it's 54 or 56% at the last, believe it should be legally available. And that's not saying something should be legal, especially as a self-proclaimed libertarian heart, does not mean you are advocating for all of these things. Like you said, just because I wasn't born in the wrong era. Well, just because it was available, especially in 2020, if everything became available, you're not going to go try anything and everything just because it's there. It's just a matter of how much should we control people. But what I really wanted to bring up was, what do you think the main motivation behind banning substances? I'll even say, what was the main motivation for banning marijuana? What was the main push behind it? How did they get it banned?
There was that big reefer movement. I think it had
reefer madness and all that.
Yeah. So from my understanding, it was something to try.
I guess I should say, let me ask it different. What was the motivating factor that they used, that they messaged, that they?
It's a gateway drug, or is it just the
worse than that? It's a tried and true classic. Unfortunately, in this country, it was racism.
Holy no! Oh my god, that just made a lot of scenes, and like there was that scene in Back to the Future. Goes outside and he's smoking a joint, right? The band was Back to the Future.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think of the actual. It's funny. One of the reasons I bought this beer was it referenced Back to the Future, so because it's 1985. Right.
But yeah, it was. But that was one of the movies they went back and like the band was smoking.
Well, and that's the thing.
Also in Amazing Miss Maisel.
I'm only in like season 1 still of that. I know. As a comedian, right? What a shame. Come on. Shame. It's a good show.
Side note, I have to stop you real quick. This does smell exactly like what it says it is. Like
I'm assuming you mean beer. I'm sure you have no idea what marijuana smells like.
No,
not at all.
Never smelled it in my life.
Oh wait, our parents don't listen? Never mind. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, okay, no. So no, it was racism. And here's the thing. I did not go in thinking that. I actually was always convinced and understood from anyone who kind of supported the idea of legalization of marijuana that the main push to ban it was actually a pushback on the hemp industry. Because hemp is much cheaper, much easier than lumber and stuff, and can make many of the same products. And so the lumber industry basically helped push it out. Now, I will say... go ahead.
I was going to say, my real initial thoughts and my real questioning of it, it wasn't necessarily, racism. I was thinking more like... trying to stifle the hippie movement.
Yeah, like sure. Well, that's by the 60s though, right? So, I mean, it was already banned by then. Yeah, that was basically when it started to almost make a comeback that led to where we're at now. It took a long time, but it did eventually lead to where we're at now, I feel like, where there was more and more people kind of realizing like, wow, we were lied to a lot in the 20s and the 30s. So I wanted to kind of read and show you some of the things that I had found while looking this up. So there was a big debate going on. So like I say, Prohibition failed. So I did want to bring this up. The alcohol prohibition failed because they found that it led to nothing but more crime. You had big gangsters growing and trying to take over the illegal alcohol trade. It was essentially a joke, to most people, because most people hadn't approved of the law. Nobody wanted the law when it got passed, except for those kind of collections of religious zealots and people that felt like they wanted to control everyone,
Well, what's fun is, I know this one from a fact that vineyards stopped selling wine and they started selling grapes in a container. That actually was what you could also brew wine or, ferment wine in. And they literally said, whatever you do, like the instruction said, whatever you do not mush the grapes and do not leave them in here for X number of days with this amount of water and that creates alcohol and that's illegal.
That's illegal. Exactly. And that's the thing. So the big turning point was the Wickersham Commission, which basically found that it had led to not only more crime, but that the prohibition laws were essentially unenforceable, both because not enough people supported them, and so you didn't have people ratting people out, you had people helping each other out, and they did not have enough prohibition officers, and the ones they did have were easily bribable, which of course they were. They were bribed with alcohol, and
give me a whiskey.
Right, cool. Exactly. All right, we're good. I'll see you in an hour and see if you're still here.
Wasn't America fueled on alcohol, though? That's the thing. I'm pretty sure America was built on alcohol. Think about it.
What did we say in a couple episodes ago? The Postal Service itself started in a beer. Yeah.
Started in a bar.
In a bar, I mean. Yeah, in a beer.
In a bar. And probably started with some beers. American Revolution started in bars. Where else did they talk about that stuff?
Yeah.
America was built on
alcohol. Absolutely.
I don't know that that's a good thing. It describes a lot about where we are today.
So that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. So for the people who heard me, I wish I had kind of tied this in sooner, only because I know people heard me say that it was racism and they turned it off. They were like, oh God, not this again, right? I want to read you a couple of the things that happened during the debate, because the way, if I am grabbing the timeline I was researching correctly, it actually marijuana and all first got banned in California, then in Texas, but it started in Texas in the city of El Paso. And so there is basically timelines you can follow of how this happened, and you can look at some of the arguments that were happening around this. So first, I want to tell you about a doctor. I forget his name, and he was a racist, so screw him. I'm not giving you his name. But he wrote a very famous paper that helped influence the laws at the time that literally said, I'm trying to find it exactly, it was what you just said. He said that basically that the effects of drugs like marijuana were not just individually harming, because if you think about it, like, that's my big argument, is that it's not that I want to go and try all these drugs and do all these things and have it be legal. And it's that I believe people, if what you're doing only affects you only have your life to control, that should be legal, essentially. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's exceptions, of course, but I'm just saying that's again, I always talk about what I strive towards. I strive towards that ultimate freedom for people. They got one life to live. I want them to live it the way they want to live it, as long as it doesn't affect anyone else.
That's your libertarian showing.
That's my libertarian. So here's the thing. So this guy goes and he said it doesn't just affect the individual, it affects entire races and nations. He said, if you look, now this is during the Prohibition era, so this is when alcohol was still illegal in America. He said, if you look around the world, the dominant race and the most enlightened nations use alcohol. You're more, I forget how he put it exactly. Let me see. I wish I had written it. Essentially, what President Trump now would call your S-hole countries, right? Those bad countries are the ones that use marijuana and opioids. And yep. So he's saying, yeah. Oh no, it's and he went as far as to say that essentially those same nations used to be very powerful, forward, progressive type nations, and they have basically been stymied by this marijuana and whatever outbreak. Straight racism. He literally said the dominant race uses alcohol.
Holy crap. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm going to give you a better one, because that's just some random doctor. When they were debating whether or not to ban marijuana and opioids in the state of Texas, one of their state senators, on the record, you can literally still find it, said, all Mexicans are crazy, and this is what makes them crazy. And again, you can say, well, you can say that's just one senator if they didn't then approve banning the drug.
But
yeah, dude,
I did not realize this was fueled by racism.
Total racism. Because here's the thing. So the way, like you alluded to way earlier, CBD, cocaine, all those things were readily available and could be easily obtained, right? Legally. And you wouldn't be arrested for having them. And like I say, even so what it was, 1906, you had to start, I forget what the name was. I did write it down. It was the 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act, which basically meant if you had marijuana in your ingredients, if you had THC, you had to list it as an intoxicating ingredient within whatever it was, which is fine. I'd be fine with that today if they legalized it, right? That's the whole point. Legalize, regulate, tax it.
That's what they do in frickin'
Colorado,
Las Vegas.
Vegas, there you go. Sure,
I don't know. Again, I've never tried it.
but right. Rumor has it.
I've seen the packages. I've seen the packages.
Of course. In a picture somewhere, something.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the first kind of regulation. But in 1914, they did make it essentially you had to have a medical reason. But the reason they did that was because they knew all the way back in 1914 that there were medical benefits to opioids, to marijuana and THC and CBD and all those things that then got banned.
I also would like to say opioids and marijuana are two entirely different classes of drugs.
1000%. So that I will say that too. I'm lumping them in because essentially from all the research I could find, they got lumped in together the whole time. Exactly. Right. Yeah. They just kept getting pulled in. And like I say, and because it's not me advocating for any one drug or any one thing. I do understand that where we're at as a country, and I actually understand why, and to a degree, even as a libertarian heart, why we are debating more so just marijuana as opposed, because if you look at marijuana compared to something like cocaine, compared to, of course, heroin and all those things, it is your 420
compared to
beer
alcohol.
Compared to alcohol, sure. No, absolutely. And that's a whole nother, like, that doctor is wrong. Basically, the doctor said, like, oh, more enlightened people drink alcohol.
He was a doctor in 1916 or 1914. I'm just saying, back then, I believe they still believed in lobotomies. And they also believed that drilling holes in people's heads wasn't necessarily...
Were they even to lobotomies yet? I think it was more enlightened doctors that came up with lobotomies, because wasn't one of the Kennedy sisters, like, lobotomized?
I just assumed they did that for a long time.
They might have. I don't know how long that ran.
I remember that at one point they were doing... There were competitions to see who could perform the fastest lobotomy.
Oh, jeez.
like they would do lobotomies on stage as quick as possible, and they'd do like lobotomies in like a minute lobotomy.
Wow. And for anyone listening, all three of you, this
literally, we've actually calculated it. It's three of you.
It's not really three. There's more to it. We're in a lot of platforms. Anyways, keep moving. You got to assume the sale. We got to pretend there's at least 5 of them. But no, what I was going to say is, I totally lost it on that. I got so depressed about our 3 people. Lobotomies. And in general, anytime that you get caught up in kind of that recency bias of feeling like, oh my gosh, we're in the craziest time, the worst time, it's not true. You look through history and you look at some of the stuff that not only was done but was easily accepted across and we are in much better times. We are much more advanced. We have a long way to go, but we are still way further ahead than they were 100 years ago.
We aren't performing street lobotomies, so that is a plus. Although I'm going to be clear. All right, COVID. I will say though, some of the people that I know might be do better if we gave them a lobotomy.
As long as you got to pick who gets lobotomized, you feel like you could see an argument for it, is what you're saying?
Oh, 100%. That's exactly where I'm at.
I can think of a few people. But anyways, one other thing I really wanted to get to, because that was the thing. You jumped ahead not knowing, but I'm just saying when you brought it up. The whole push... No, you're good. The whole push from like the 30s on, the reefer madness and and that's way on. That's in the 60s and because of the hippie movement, which was kind of essentially finding that a lot of what we were told from the 30s and from when it was banned was BS and we were being lied to. Huh. Shocking, right?
The reefer madness stuff was even far more BS.
Oh, no. It was basically propaganda. It was completely propaganda video, and they showed it in all the schools. They showed it in all the, it was like required learning for anyone in
Honestly,
that era.
When you watch those videos, it just makes me want to like partake more. I'm like, oh, this is what it does? This all seems great.
Can I tell you? So like, I know the show would indicate otherwise, but this is about the only drinking I do. That's why JB Fire makes it, to like 3 and 4 different weeks. But I do enjoy drinking, obviously, or I wouldn't have done this show. When I watch, like, you remember that movie Denzel did a few years ago, The Flight, where he played that alcoholic pilot? Really good movie. He got at least nominated if he didn't win. Really good. He's really good. And the whole point is, like, he's this, like, heavy alcoholic. And so he's in his hotel room and he just, like, empties out the mini bar and does all this stuff. But I watch those movies and I'm like, man, I really want to kind of party right now. Like, I don't think that's the message I'm supposed to be picking up from this movie.
That's not what they're trying to tell me, but this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, basically.
So,
so that's a great way to kind of bring this all around because, well, first I wanted to tell the big lie. The big lie was they kept trying to say, just like the whole, what that state senator in Texas said, I won't even repeat it, but this is what makes them crazy, right?
Yes.
Is there was this whole push in the media and everything. So people say, oh, the media lies to us now. Oh, no, the media lied back then, too. They would put out headlines about, Mexican family goes crazy and does this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And it would be this whole narrative about how marijuana was found and it was the cause. In 1893, there was an international drug conference where they found no evidence. 1893.
Whoa. That's before flights. That's like oceanic cruise times. Mm-hmm. So somehow people were paid to go and take an oceanic cruise for probably like a few months to go talk about drugs and enjoy drugs in the process, I'm assuming.
Well, I was going to say, I doubt that was part of the official docket, but yeah, I would assume that was part of it for them too. They wanted to make sure that their findings were accurate. But
well, how else? At that time, like, basically you could do whatever you wanted to test, so I'm sure.
And that's it. And that's the thing, though. They found no evidence that marijuana leads to rage or any of those things that they tried to push throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, leading up to the war on drugs, which, again, you can look into the history of the war on drugs, and you can look at the fallout of the war on drugs, right? And you can find the racial implications, let's say.
That's just crazy to me. I never realized it was...
I didn't either. I really didn't. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, people will think what they're going to think, but... Oh, you're about to show off another beer. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
They'll think... go ahead.
Oh, go finish your thing.
And then they'll think what they want to think, but like you say, like, it totally took me by surprise, just like it did you. When I went to research, I thought I was going to find out about the hemp industry and this evil lumber industry and big lumber and all this stuff, and it was totally not that. Now, they may have taken advantage and helped push the narrative, but... it was totally racism.
Wow.
Yep.
That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, it literally is a little bit mind-blowing. Like, that was never something
show off
I
the beer.
expected.
I have one more point on the racism, because there was twofold where it helped ban both things. But go ahead. What's this?
Orange Crush, another one from the local Tampa one. Okay. That's all I just wanted to point out.
Very similar looking can there.
Yeah, it's the same height, just different color. American wheat beer with wildflower honey and sweet orange peels. Yeah.
Actually, sounds pretty good. How's it taste?
You'd love this beer.
Yeah? I'm going to have to get some.
For real. All right, so other point on racism.
Yeah, so, that's the thing. So the two big points is, because I did keep bringing opium into it. Opium also got banned for racism. The racism there was that we had brought in a lot of Asian workers, Chinese workers to work on the railroads. Yeah. And so, now at the time... opiums were consumed in America, and do you know the number one market for opiums? Middle-aged women. It was a pain medication for them. And so they would use it. But then what happened was, when you brought in all these people over in China and over in different Asian cultures, they used it recreationally. It was their kind of nighttime pastime, relax. I don't mean everyone, but I'm just saying it was much more widespread, wide use. And so again, it was this fear of these crazy people.
I just need to know if you know anything more. When you talk about the middle-aged women who used it for pain meds, what pain were they in that there's enough of it that they're using it? Like middle-aged.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I don't have any kind of. But like I say, it was just because like I say, it was readily available. They were ordering it through their Sears catalogs or whatever catalog they were in at the time.
Were they ordering it for pain medication, or were they?
I mean, how many people on medical marijuana are doing it because they've tried every other medicine in the book? I mean, let's you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying there's not medical implications. That's not me dismissing the medical marijuana. What I am saying is, the majority of people that seek it out, I don't think are seeking it out because of those benefits. Those benefits might be secondary, or they already knew those benefits because they were part of the illegal drug trade. And that's one last point I wanted to bring up, and then we can move on to topic 3 after that, but was essentially the idea of legalizing now. So first, I'm just going to ask questions, since I've led so much of the conversation in this topic. Yeah. Well, where do you feel on legalization for marijuana? Well, I'm just saying, like, because I felt like I had so much info, I just kept pouring out. So, like, how do you feel on legalization of things? Marijuana, other drugs? What's your feelings for real?
I kind of like the Amsterdam style. The Amsterdam style where everything goes, but we make sure that whatever goes, we take care of it on the process, on the flow. Like, you go to Amsterdam, they have drug testing kits for everything. Not because they're trying to drug test you, because they want to make sure that the drugs that you're using aren't going to kill you. They're free.
Okay. No, yeah, that's really interesting you say that.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I mean, honestly, also just talk tax benefits. Holy crap.
Sure.
It's so much money. Look at how much money is spent on alcohol alone. If everyone could be smoking up instead, or even doing some of the other lesser drugs.
Not even that. No. So let's look at states that have done it. Colorado expected their first year tax revenue to be $70 million. They doubled that. In fact, the way the law was written, they brought in so much tax revenue, they had to cut a check to the citizens of Colorado because they had taken in too much money on tax revenue.
Wait. So they took in so much money that they had to pay.
They had to give some back.
They had to pay their citizens to go smoke more.
Basically, yeah.
No, I just wanted to be clear. So what happened is they made so much money that they said, well, you know what? Go ahead and get some more. Are they a drug dealer?
Yeah, right. I mean, they are. Literally, apparently they are. And same thing. I mean, Washington has had even more. I forget the number. It was something like 250 million. Right. There's an estimate that countrywide it would bring in about, I'm going to over exaggerate this. I didn't write it down. I think when I looked it up, it was about 500 billion.
Holy crap.
Again, maybe I'm over exaggerating a little.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
here's the thing, because that was just based on
rate, honestly,
that was just based on them taxing it the same way they do tobacco. They said if they tax it like tobacco,
100%. Yeah, no, easily. If it's taxed the same as tobacco, then yeah, because they don't tax it the same as tobacco in either of those other two states.
No, I mean the taxes are pretty decent. Well, now it's way more than two states. California's gone recreational. Nevada, as you mentioned, has gone recreational. So it just depends on your state. I think
did Nevada go or just Las Vegas?
No, I'm pretty sure it's all in Nevada.
Okay, I don't know. I thought it was just Las Vegas for some reason.
Well, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's just Nevada. Or all of Nevada, not just Nevada, all of Nevada. I wouldn't know personally, of course. I mean, I've gone to Nevada a few times since it happened, but I definitely wouldn't know on my own accord.
Of course.
I wouldn't, stay away from that. The devil's lettuce.
The devil's but hold on. So you're saying 500, let's just assume that's the right number. Hell, let's just assume $250 billion is the right number.
A year. And, well, no, because let's just assume nothing, because you know where they get that number? They took a bunch of studies of people who admitted to using marijuana now, whether legally or illegally, and they did the average by the number of people, the percentage of people that say they use it. You know what they're not factoring in? First of all, the fact that if it was legal, how many people, older people especially, I don't think it would be kids, but how many older people like in their 30s, 40s, 50s that have stayed away because it's an illegal drug would go, I'll give this a try. I'll see what it's like. Like maybe this is better than my Oxy or whatever I try for my pain. And I mean, that's obviously the extreme version, but still.
I'd like to talk to you because you just said older people and you threw 30s out there. We're in our 30s. I'd like to take some major offense to this. When you say older people, you meant like the 60s, 70s, right?
That too. What I meant by older was I don't mean that a bunch of teenagers are going to go try it, because that's what your anti-drug crowd will come out and say. They're going to say like, oh, it's going to affect the kids and the teenagers. Here's the problem. The kids and the teenagers have easier access to illegal drugs than any person in their 30s. So.
It's so upsetting. It's so upsetting.
So if anything, by putting your boot, quote unquote, on the illegal drug trade, by legalizing and regulating and taxing drugs, you would actually potentially help that problem, I think. But that's just my, opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Holy crap, though. The fact that it's still fueled by racism is still blowing my mind.
Dude, it's so crazy. I couldn't believe it that I found that out, and how blatant it was. Like, it was so blatant, because that's the thing, because it was two big things. It was like, say, it was the Asian migrant workers that were working on our railroads, and it was the immigrants from Mexico that actually are credited with kind of introducing smoking cannabis because it was used in other functions mostly. That was the general use within the Americas. And when they came in to do, basically like migrant workers and stuff, they would smoke it. And so then it became this whole like, they're going to...
Yeah, when you talk about like the whole Chinese thing, that was huge. There were crap tons of Chinese like riots, but it wasn't that the Chinese were rioting, it's that the whites were rioting against the Chinese. When we're talking about riots.
Right.
Like that was the Chinese being rioted against.
Sure.
Crazy.
It is. It's just so crazy. It really is.
So racism, but we could have a lot of money. Did you happen to find out how much the Florida would have done? Because I know currently we're in a complete downward spiral. I'll be honest, because we're a downward spiral from unemployment. And I didn't. Way underwater. No.
No, I didn't. I didn't look at Florida specifically. I should have, since we live here. But in general, I think you look at those numbers, and that's what I was getting at. Is it's not only so if they're looking at the average number of people that admit to me using marijuana, it's not only people who would try it once it's legal, but it's also the people, because obviously it's not a great argument for people who think it should be banned, but it's also how many people lie. How many people like? Am I mistaken in believing that one of the stereotypes of marijuana smokers are their paranoia? So even if you told them like, hey, this is just for a survey, you can't be at all followed up on by this, or they're not going to be a large segment that's like, yeah, sure, that's what you want me to think. Nope, I've never smoked marijuana. I've never smoked it in my life.
So, I'm going to be putting myself on blast a little bit here. I have medicine that I have to take with a psychiatrist, right? Okay. No big deal. So the psychiatrist, I went to one psychiatrist. They went, hey, have you ever, do you smoke? And I was like, well, once in a blue moon, when I'm in a lot of pain, I'll smoke some marijuana because it helps with my RA. I'm in physical pain every day, but if it gets too bad, I'll do a bit of smoking, and suddenly it's all more manageable. Rather than taking an opioid, rather than taking like that, because I could get those prescribed. I just didn't want to because they're really addictive and bad. Yeah. So I figured if I'm just in a bad spot, and I mentioned that, guy's like, oh, well, now I can't prescribe you anything. You're in that. We're going to have to drug test you monthly. I was like, whoa, hold on. This is crazy talk.
Yeah.
I just literally said I smoke every once in a blue moon, not often. And I also did it for pain. Would you rather I were taking barbiturates? He goes, oh, absolutely, because they're prescribed. And I'm like,
that's insane. That's insane.
It's insanity. It's
Zach,
insanity.
So we need to gear up, and we need to do a medical industry, because we need to look into, because how much of the BS we're dealing with today has moved on from racism, and it's big pharma, and it's all these, what he calls with like, financial interests in keeping these industries going.
The fact that like that just blew my mind. So my option then is to either stop entirely or lie to doctors.
That's it. And I was right. Exactly.
The whole point is that I'm not lying to you. And I have other doctors that have said, if you were to do this, I don't suggest it, and you can't tell me if you do, that this might be helpful to you. My other doctors who were talking about my RA. They said this might be helpful to you. So if you were to do it, I'm not going to encourage it, but if you were to do it, it probably would help, but don't tell me.
Right. So essentially you have some doctors in almost like lightly encouraging it, and you have other doctors that are literally not only like, they're not just discouraging, they are threatening you. I'm not going to give you the medicine you need. I'm going to test you and find out if you're using, like, what? And that's the whole thing, man. That's the biggest thing. And for so many years, people would say like, oh, once you're a parent, you'll understand. I'm a parent. I'm about to have my second kid. Let me finish. Because it's still, I'm going to give my kids all the best advice I can. I'm going to teach them the way that I lived life, and I made it to whatever age I'm at. By that point, I'm teaching them those lessons and the way that I believe that you should approach things like drinking and marijuana and all this stuff. And they're going to do what they want to do. the amount of control that people try to have both over their kids and over just general people is just absurd to me. It makes no sense that people want to try and control people's lives the way they do. So,
yeah, I agree with you entirely. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. That's about. Did I cover that topic pretty well? You feel like you got some information you didn't know, other than
Dude, I didn't even know half of what you said about the prohibition from that.
Isn't that amazing?
I know about some stuff that's after that, like J. Andrew Hoffman. I know a little bit about him. I did a lot of research on him.
Nice.
Because he came up with, he was the lead cannabinoid researcher. He came up with alternative cannabinoids that were legal for a while. They were what powered spice.
Oh, interesting.
I know a bit about that.
Sure.
Because I was involved in doing anything with those, but you know,
just because you know,
they were the legal alternative for marijuana for a while.
Well, and that's you know what, but that's one more point to kind of leave this on is, you know, wherever you fall on drugs and in general, as far as like what they are and how dangerous they are and all that, you look at the reason they finally did away with prohibition, and it was because, like I say, like alcohol prohibition, it was because they found that all it did was increase crime. And there's no way that you look at the war on drugs and see anything other than how it increases crime and how it encourages crime. And it's the same problem. So,
most important piece that you said to talk about that was that if you really want to go get some drugs, you go talk to your local high school kid to go get your hookups.
Right. They have the best hookups. Allegedly.
The best hookups. Allegedly, yes. But that's the problem. Yeah. So you're right. It just leads to more crime. All right.
So we're going to move on to topic 3?
I don't know. Whatever topic 3 is, let's do it.
No, well, it's mine, I guess, too. All right. Cheers.
I'm putting you to work this episode.
Yeah, right? No. But I mean, I appreciate it. I am...
No.
I'm glad to cover it, and I really enjoyed learning what I learned about prohibition and about, you know, drug prohibition and that.
So what am I learning about now?
So I wanted to share a story with you, honestly. Like, this will be a short, funny one. I feel like this episode's kind of getting to that point anyways. How long are we in? You look more than I do.
About 55 minutes.
Oh, it's not bad. Okay, perfect. So this can be a shorter topic, but I just had to share this with you. I need to read it exactly, though. So I do need to find the actual story. Let me see.
If you can pull it towards the mic a little bit.
Is that me? Towards the mic?
Better. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. It was a teacher that got fired. So basically this pandemic has led people to need to find creative ways to make money. And with that being said, a lot of people, have you heard of a website called OnlyFans? Do you know what I mean when I say that?
I have never once heard of this website. I have no idea what you could be possibly talking about.
Me neither. So I guess that's the topic then. I don't know either. Damn it. I thought one of us would know, Zach. Okay, let's pretend that I know. I did research for the episode. Anyways. So a teacher got fired in Ohio because she had created an OnlyFans. So for those of us who don't know, like me and Zach, I just found this out now. OnlyFans is a website. I've actually never really been to the website, truth be told. But my wife might listen. No, I'm just kidding. OnlyFans is a website. It is not actually for porn. I don't want to mislead our audience.
She's actually listening.
Oh, well. Only because I talk so loud. Anyways, but... So OnlyFans was not created for porn. It was basically, it would be a great place for Alcoholically Correct. Maybe we should make our own OnlyFans. Because basically, it is a place where people can choose to pay to follow you. So like if you were a band, especially in pandemic time, and you recorded your sessions and you had an OnlyFans page and people liked your music, they could pay, $6 a month. And let's say you did all of your recording sessions in the garage. And so for $6 a month, these fans got to watch you record and got to watch you do these, create these things. That obviously by your face, for those of us watching, that is not how the website got used, and there is no censorship on explicit material, so you can imagine what people have used that subscription service for. Especially with this great interface. Because that's the thing, it's like a social media page.
I don't think I've ever seen a link or anything to an OnlyFans page that was not porn. Are you sure that's what it started as?
I thought you were just circling back to you've never seen it. No. I'm pretty much positive that is the idea, is that they came out not to be used for that, but that's just what happened. That's just what it became. And so I can't find the headline. I wish I had pulled it aside for the episode. But basically, a teacher in Ohio, 22 years old, got fired because she had created an OnlyFans page to make a little side income on top of her teaching job or whatever. And so the headline literally read, 22-year-old, whatever her name was, Ohio teacher gets fired by whatever. Now, it was a Catholic school, so I guess that obviously plays a little bit of a part in this too. But by whatever Catholic school, when headmaster came across her OnlyFans page.
Damn right he did. He came across it. Although, really important note, not that I'm curious or anything, or but you're talking about this OnlyFans sites. Do you have a URL to this OnlyFans site? What OnlyFans site is this?
What terrible OnlyFans page is it that I am speaking of? Because now that she's been fired, you have to imagine that she's spending more time on that page, right?
Right. She needs more. What?
I certainly wouldn't know exactly, but I would have to imagine that she's only using it more. But that's the thing is.
wait, you're still not giving me an answer.
You're like, I need to know the exact URL.
Exactly. I need to know the exact URL. Otherwise, I don't believe the story.
Well, and you wouldn't want to accidentally stumble across it, I'm sure. Right, you're
correct.
Very afraid.
That would ruin me. That would ruin me.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring up. Was it's kind of an interesting question to me, because I am, as we've alluded to in many episodes, I'm a Christian, right? And so I have my Christian values, but I'm a libertarian, and so I have my libertarian values that say I should live my life the way that I believe my beliefs say I should live my life, and I should strive to those things and fall short all the time. That's another big part of Christianity we'll cover in the religious episode. But I should also allow people to live their life with the free will that God gave them, and then kind of let them do what they want to do. So let's take the morality out of it, of whether or not having your own porn site and all that is moral. Legally speaking, what are your thoughts, your feelings on this school firing this?
So legally, you still haven't told me where I shouldn't go. So I'm having issues with that one.
Are you saying you need more context? You're like, as much as I don't want to visit, right,
never would want to go there, but I legally haven't gotten the context.
For research purposes, right, before you can render a full verdict of how you feel.
I still haven't gotten the answer, and you're still avoiding the question. I know you know the answer.
My favorite page is. I'm sorry. Wait, what?
But you're looking it up.
I was trying to find the screenshot at least. No, I was trying to find the screenshot of the teacher who did that, but I can't, to at least give you her name in case, if anyone in the audience is really curious about that terrible website that they never want to visit. I thought maybe I would find it for them, but I can't see.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But when we talk about the legal aspect, I take a lot of problems coming into it from a legally, you can't do this. Like, that bothers me. Like, they should be it's done on private time.
Right.
Since it is a private school, I really don't know that I can argue as much. I thought this was a public school at first.
Right.
And that would be a lot harder, but like from a private school, they get to do whatever the hell they want to their employees, because the U.S. doesn't really give a shit about your employment rights.
Right.
Yeah. We are a quote unquote for whatever it is, right to work state. And
well, that's Florida. I don't know, is Ohio a right to work state? I'm not totally sure.
Pretty much every state except for Montana is a right to work state.
I'm gonna also assume, to be honest with you though, I'm gonna assume that if you get hired by a Catholic school, you sign some form of a contract, and I would assume that contract has some form of a morality clause. So I'm going to...
I take issue to morality clauses.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm going to assume...
paying me to be outside of work 24/7, you're paying me to be outside of work, like, along lines of your morality.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying me to work 24/7? Sure. Fine. Screw it. I'm in. But I can guarantee you that teacher's salary was not enough because she was on OnlyFans.
Well, that's what I was going to leave us on, essentially, is the good news is, even though I can't find her name, but you can look up, Ohio teacher fired for OnlyFans page and probably find her. She was a very pretty girl. And so I would have to assume, considering the wages that teachers earn, that somehow or another, if she really focused her attention on that for a few years, she'll probably make plenty of money from people like you who don't want to visit those terrible URLs.
I would never once visit that terrible website. Not.
And if I find it, I certainly won't share it with you because I know you wouldn't want to see.
Actually, my debit card was stolen.
Oh, no.
Used for they used it 3 times on OnlyFans for $50 a pop. I don't know what happened or how they spent $50 a pop, but the next day I got an alert for 3 freaking things on my debit card for $50 a pop. I'm like, for paying $50 for a online service, I hope you got what you paid for.
I can say in a very serious, non-hypocritical tone, I'm not super familiar with OnlyFans, only because who pays for porn? But anyways,
well, actually, that can be a whole other topic because porn's changed.
Oh wow,
There's a whole second topic to that I think deserves something in the future.
I was going to say, so next week or week after, when you take the third and final very drunk topic, you can take us down that rabbit hole. And because by then, of our 3 listeners, we've got to be down to 1.5. So
exactly.
Awesome. Zach, any other big things to leave us on? Any other thoughts? I'm with you. Like you said, I think that I have an issue with it being legally okay to fire somebody for what they do in their personal time, but I also understand that once it's in the contract, what you gonna do? And like I say,
yeah, but the contract's bullshit. So,
that's a whole different.
If the salary worked enough, if you had a high enough salary, sure, you can be judged for your actions.
But again, then it wouldn't probably be an issue because if it was a high enough salary, why would she be making an OnlyFans page? Exactly. All right. Any other topics? Any other things to hit for the week? Should we just let everyone know where to find us?
I think so. Get on in there.
So it's going to be www.alcoholicallycorrect.com. You're going to be able to follow us on Twitter at alcoholscorrect, Instagram and Facebook, Alcoholically Correct. And we appreciate everybody listening, following, and all those things. And we're definitely going to see you next week. Zach, leave it on that.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.